So he thinks at this time I've actually tampered or messed with the package.
Oh, okay. So
some
and he
kind
followed
of,
you.
Some kind of theft. Well, it must have after work, yeah.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know just a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, returning onto the scene, we got Mr. Paul Newman, who, in fact, is now the most shot podcast that I've ever done.
Is this what, number 3 or
this
number 4?
This is number 3, man.
Number 3,
okay. You get a version of every single setup. Like every single time there's a new setup, there's Mr. Paul Newman coming right back in.
Well, we're growing. What is this? I don't know. How long have you been doing? Is this
120 episodes.
This is 120?
No, I mean, it's somewhere around there. My editor actually reached out to me recently, and he was like, hey, man, just to let you know, you're at like 120 right now.
That's
and
awesome.
I'm like, what? I didn't realize it was like that. I've had 120 like around there, roughly around there. Great just conversations with people centered around entrepreneurship is like literally one of my passions. It's something that I'm super passionate about, and so glad to have you on. But you know, like that's kind of like where we're at right now.
I love it. I love, as long as I've known you, you and I have clicked just because we love entrepreneurship. We love business, and every time we talk, which is, you know, sometimes can be a couple weeks, you know, where we don't talk, but it's just fun to chop it up with you, and I'm glad to be here today on the set live.
Awesome. So like, tell me a little bit about kind of what's been going on, right? Like, so last time we spoke, you know, we were in the new studio, same place.
Yep.
And we were kind of like just talking about, I believe it was funding or like kind of like how to approach the real estate game.
Yep.
So let's kind of like set the stage a little bit. Let's give a little bit background of, I guess, like, you know, what it is that you do, just so that the audience is completely aware.
Okay. Been in real estate close to 20 years. Got in it right out of school. Didn't make any money for like 6 months, $0, and kind of hustled and finally made my first sale and made like $300 and thought I hit the lottery, which was, but, you know, so I've been a real estate agent and worked at the same company for 10 years, decided to open up my own company, Statesboro Real Estate. So that's kind of been my ultimate love is real estate. And now I've branched into so many different things, which is one is property management, PMG rentals. We're up to 1,200 managed properties.
Wow. So
that's been a very amazing growth story for us. You know, it's been an amazing ride. We've got duplexes and apartments and single family houses. We manage the notorious Burkhalter Plantation area, which people camp out overnight for that kind of setup.
Recently got hit with the hurricane, right?
Yes, it did. And we've got we had some interesting videos that we've kind of taken to the sheriff's office. And if you know who you are, you need to come forward. So
I got it. So obviously illustrious career. I mean, you're in development. You are in multiple different kind of like avenues. You know, I've never been able to capture this story on air. But I want to kind of like dive a little bit about kind of like your initial start and how you got even established in the real estate market, right? Because I think that was one of my favorite stories actually from you, if you're willing to share.
Yes, it's kind of a crazy one. So I was a leasing agent in college, and I guess I was a senior, not really knowing what I was going to do. You know, I thought I was going to go do a suit and tie job and move back to Atlanta. So I was a senior.
You're originally from Atlanta.
And I'm from Atlanta, so I thought that was going to be maybe do pharmaceutical sales. For whatever reason, I had a friend that was a doctor, and I was like, man, I'll just go sell and do the pharmaceutical sales route. So I was a leasing agent at Campus Club Apartments at the time, and which is right next to the football stadium. I think it's called Freedom's Landing right now. So It's had like 984 residents. So middle of my senior year, I'm getting ready to kind of take final exams and kind of just figure out where my story's headed. So a guy comes and checks out a package. Back in the day, Amazon didn't deliver straight to your door, you know, so these packages went to your up to the front of the complex. So he comes and checks out a package, and he takes the package away, and I get off my shift. So my shift ends at 5 o'clock, and I go over to a friend's house, which is not in the apartment complex. I lived at Campus Club at the time.
Okay.
Went over to Park Place to a friend's house, and I get a knock at the door, and this guy says, well, you have my package. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I recognized him from the package earlier. From earlier. And so I said, hey, I don't know what you think I have. I said, but you're welcome to come in. And so he kind of is pretty adamant that I have his package. So I said, look, search my car. Like, this is getting kind of weird. So there was a bunch of actually guys there as well. They had surrounded me at the time. And I'm like, Hold
on.
Yeah.
So like, let me get some clarification.
Okay.
So the guy that came to your workplace,
yes,
he was looking for a package already, or he was dropping.
He got it. He got his package and went away. So I gave him whatever package he thought was.
Gotcha.
He got it.
So he was picking up.
So he
at that
thinks
point.
at this time I've actually tampered or messed with the package.
Oh, okay. So
some
and he
kind
followed
of,
you.
Some kind of theft. Well, it must have after work. Yeah, it had really gotten to that point where I was just going to hang out, and he's thinking I've got his package or whatever. So
you hear a knock on the door.
Hear a knock on the door. Let him in.
What'd your buddy say?
He's there. He's like, this is weird, and they didn't end up coming to that apartment. So I come out in the car, and I'm like, where were you? So. They surrounded me, and finally they let it go.
How many people?
Probably about 5 to 6. Probably 5 or 6 guys.
Were they roughing you up at this point?
No, it was not a rough up, but it was like, this is not something I'm liking to be in, And what's crazy is I had a black eye at the time from softball. I turned to double play, and this guy run into my head, and I'm wearing the hoodie. it's the whole scene. I got the black eye, I'm a hoodie. I don't know what they think of me at this time.
Yeah.
But I'm like, look, I work. I have a job. Like, I'm not some thief. I don't have your package.
Okay.
I go back to where I live. That dies down. I go back to where I live. Maybe 2-3 hours later, and 2 of them are there again.
They came back to you.
Came back. And
so at this point, he's tracking you somehow, right?
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I said, look, I'm gonna call the cops. I knew this guy named Kendall at the time. He literally was about Shaq size, like 6'9".
We're gonna call the homie.
I literally called and said, look, come. I told him, and he got there, and I was like, thank God you're here. I was like, this guy he stayed. The guy that was kind of messing with me or whatever. I was like, he thinks I stole something, and I was like, I'm not a thief. I don't steal anything, and so I fill out a police report and say, I didn't mess with their package. He fills out a police report saying, this guy, we think he messed with our package. Literally fills it out. His name's on it, my name's on it. So that story I just told you dies down. Like, very bizarre, like, basically
that's
just kind of
super weird. What'd you think it was at the time?
I had no clue. I had no clue other than, oh my God, like, I'm just not a thief, so I don't really know. I'm like, I just never stolen in my life. I'm just not that way. And so that whole story dies down, and I'm getting ready to take my final exams, and it's probably like my spring semester. Take my final exams, and then the DEA for New Mexico calls, and he says,
just on the phone?
Calls me on the phone and says, hey, you filled out a police report, and the guy you filled out a police report is actually has been arrested for a double homicide in New Mexico.
What?
So that. So
that did that happen before or after this incident?
That happened. Well, so what happens is the guy says, hey, he has been arrested. There was somebody that survived, and he's been arrested. And the guy that filled out the police report at your place was the guy that got arrested. So I had to go testify as a senior in college and just kind of tell the story about them tracking me and thinking. So what was happening is they shipping drugs from New Mexico to Georgia Southern and Statesboro and selling them.
Wow.
And
so, he was receiving that.
And he must have been receiving it or whatever in his organization, and they thought that I was the person.
Man, that must have been
I was
so
very
scary.
for sure. It was a very crazy time, and didn't know why I was put on that path to have. So I told my dad, like, why am I testifying in the middle of all by myself, flying out to New Mexico and just telling not a really incriminating story, but just what happened.
So you had to take the stand?
So I had to take the stand and just kind of rehash that.
Did you see him there?
I didn't really see him because they had it kind of blocked off, and I'm just kind of looking at it. So it was just, and then that was it. It was a very, but the reason is I met this guy on a plane. So like everybody I talked to, hey, what do you do? What's your mom? What does your mom and dad do? I'm always curious just about business in general, like we always do. Hey, well, let's talk about this. And this guy tells me, hey, I sell real estate on ocean, lakes, and mountains. And it was like, that was like, as soon as he said that, I love to be outside. I love nature. I love like sales. I'm like, if that's what you do, like I want to come work for you. And so that was my aha moment of, hey, that I'm going to get my real estate license. So literally got home, took my real estate license, passed, went to St. Mary's, Georgia to interview with his company on the ocean, beautiful oak trees, all this stuff. And they said, we're going to hire you. I'm like, awesome. All my dreams are coming true. They said, we're going to pay you $8 an hour. And I'm like, $8 an hour? I'm a college graduate. I'm worth more than $8 an hour, And so I turned the job down, said, I'll get my master's. Let me kind of figure out what real estate is like. And so I worked here for 6 months, made $0. So I always joke and say, I should have took the $8 hour job, But that's how I got into it. Very crazy start, very crazy time in my life. And I'm in real estate because of a plane trip and talking to a guy and going, hey, you should get into real estate and come work for me.
Have you kept in touch with him?
So the funny thing is, no, I hadn't talked to him in 15, 16 years. I remembered his name, looked him up, found him somehow on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And literally said, look, I know you don't care about this. I said, but I thought I would call you and tell you are the reason I got into real estate and have had an amazing career from meeting you on a plane.
Yeah.
And you changed the course of what my life ended up being. Because I don't think, I thought real estate was good. I would have never probably been an agent.
Did he
not
respond?
That planning. Oh, he was just very receptive. He's like, that's awesome. I'm so glad you told me the story.
Yeah.
So it was just pretty neat.
That's cool.
Just to tell somebody, hey, the random conversation that you probably never would remember, I'd even forgot my name, and you changed the course of my life and my family's life.
Let's talk about that, right? Because I'm finding now, obviously we both have our spheres of influence at this point.
Yes.
We're working with people, either they're on the come up or whatever it is. I think it goes understated how much impact we're able to have just with the simple conversation. The course of your entire life has was shifted because at that point you didn't really know what direction you were going in, and in that one moment that he told you this is what I do, you were like, all right, that sounds great. Yeah. And of course it didn't play out necessarily that you're not selling real estate unless you are.
No, not on ocean, lakes, and mountains. No.
Soon?
No, maybe that's the next step.
But I feel like, that those conversations are happening we never know what type of impact we're able to have on people just within a moment.
Such a good point. And I find myself driven in my life at this point to talk to people, motivate them, ask them their goals, ask them, and I think you do the same stuff. And it's so refreshing to hear these young people, and some of them, bam, I had some guy that rattled off 7 things the other day. And I was like, damn, that's so good, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you want for people. You want to figure out their why. I know you're big on why. Yep. Why do you want to do this business? Or, I've had a lot of times when I've wanted to open up another business and say, well, do you want to go down that? Do you want to give up your time? Why are you doing that? And sometimes it pulls you back from opening up that next thing or that next great idea. But I am very driven to motivate people. Sometimes it's giving them ownership in a business that may be your idea, and you could probably speak on this, Adam, you can't do everything, and you have to have good people around you, and that's been a major deal for me.
Yeah. How do you find, what do you look for in a team member, right? So with on my end, I've opened multiple businesses now, right?
Yes.
And each of these businesses, the only reason why I'm able to do so is because I find team members that are motivated, they're passionate, and they want to somehow achieve something, and I try to align with them, right?
Yes.
If they have an interest in video per se, I say, hey, let's create these opportunities, and let's see where it goes.
Yep.
And Two Fly Guys, the media production company, was born out of that, right? Ross was actually one of my team members at one of the restaurants, and he just showed promise, and I think that that's such a important thing. And for me, what I look for often is just a drive.
Driven.
And if they can execute on what they say they're going to do, right? You want to be that person that shows up on time, that actually kind of when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Yeah. What other things do you look for?
I mean, you nailed a lot. I mean, it's funny because you have different organizations where when you are a serial entrepreneur like you and I are, you may go, oh man, this guy's awesome, but I could use him over here. And maybe he shared some of his dreams, and I like video. Oh, I kind of like video too. Let's go do this. There was a girl, Kaylin that worked in PMG Rentals, who was very smart, very
Fun
driven.
fact, she actually was part of my organization.
That's right.
You're welcome.
That's
You're
it.
welcome.
Yes,
I'm just kidding.
So she's been really great, and we pulled her and started a vacation rental management company.
Yep.
And we're growing, and it's been a really good run there. I think we're up to 40 plus properties.
Wow.
And it's been really neat, and it's that company's at its infancy. We're still trying to. It's a very labor intensive, not manual labor, but you have to be on it in that business. There's so many guests checking in and out, and you know, you got to track these trends. You know, vacation sector can be really strong at times and really slow at times too. So that's everybody thinks, oh, let's go get me an Airbnb, and it's all fun and games, and it's you know, there's a lot of extra money involved, and it's not as easy sometimes when the economy's
Yeah.
But you know, to stay on being driven, showing up, having I love idea. You know, you can't always have two idea guys. Like I think you're a big idea guy, right? And like, hey, this is a great idea, but you got to have somebody boots on the ground too that really can get it done.
Yeah.
But having the big dreams and goals, I love to align with people like that. But you do have to go, all right, well, I'm going to get in there and get it done.
That's right. And I think, you know, ideas, ideas the easy part. What I find there to be a lack of is actually the execution side, because it's easier to kind of like come up with the idea, right? But actually how you execute and see things through is actually, I think, at the core of it. So in my organizations, I'm always pushing people to make sure that, hey, when we have this concept, let's see it through. Let's make sure that it gets across the finish line.
And following up with that, like, did my ideas, did it follow through? And there's been a lot of times that some of the stuff that I feel like I'm coming up with is not finishing, but you know, and some of that's on me for not following up. You know, we get pulled in so many different directions, and I've been, you know, the people around me lately, I'm like, let's do this, and I'll fire away. My brain's like, bop, 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 bop. But you still gotta, you know, you do gotta follow up and did you finish?
That's right.
But I love bopping in and out of the multiple businesses. I mean, PMG Rentals is so proud of that. Stephanie Anderson and I own that company, and it's just been such a steady business, and you know, we can sell out of that too. Sometimes our owners go, oh, we're ready to get, you know, we'll put it on the market, and then sometimes a new owner will buy the property we put on the market and kind of play the game again. So it's just been such a good business.
Let's talk about that, right? So I like businesses that complement each other.
Yes.
And there's no scenario in which two businesses complement more than such as like a PMG and a Statesboro real estate.
Correct.
But let's talk about that. So PMG is the rental side of the company.
Property management. We are the go-between. PMG handles tenants that we handle the tenants, the complaints, all the fun stuff, and then in between the owner. So we're the middleman for the owner and the tenant.
Okay.
And what's so cool, like you said, the compliment is we can sell a property, anybody, and we can just say, hey, we're ready to manage that property for you. So you have somebody that's an expert going, this is what it'll rent for. It's not just a guessing game. So you can go, I can sell you that, and this is what I can rent it for. So it's just nice to be able to get that combo. And it is such a perfect complement to each other.
Talk to me about kind of what the current climate is, right? So, you know, real estate is one of those things where obviously it kind of like there's market trends.
Yep.
However, I still think that it's one of the, if not the best way to build wealth, one of the best ways to build wealth, right? It's one of those things where, you know, when you pay the money, you actually see something that you're getting. What is kind of like the current status of the real estate market, just in general?
I think it's tough for people to enter right now. It is still the ultimate best investment, in my opinion. I am just a big real estate guy. I mean, I would love somebody to challenge me on the stock market. I know that there's all these people that put us in this box and go put it in your 401k, and that's your ultimate saving thing. And you know, and so many people are just on that train, and it's probably good for most, but I think when you dive into the math of real estate and all of the benefits, that it just, I'm sorry, real estate beats all other investments, in my opinion. And, you know, I tell this example a lot of times to people. We work hard at our jobs and different things. And a lot of stuff you cannot pass down. You can't pass down, if you're a college professor, you can't pass that job down to your kid. They may want that job again, but you can't just pass it down.
Sure.
Real estate, if you have children and family and that kind of stuff, it is truly able, if you retain that asset, to be passed down. And you can borrow from it. You know, a lot of upper end financial stuff, which we don't have to get in now, but you could pay it off, and in 30 years you could you could
It
pull
can
all
steal
your
the asset.
Yeah. And retain it and keep it, and they could eat out of it, or, you know, have money coming in off of it. So it's just I don't know, it's just a wonderful investment. It's been very fruitful for mainly all PMG owners, not just myself. I have bought some, but you know, 98% of what PMG has is not my own. It's for other owners that have 10, 20 properties, 40 properties. We have owners with 50 plus properties.
That's awesome. So again, what's kind of current climate right now? Like
okay, so it's tough for people to enter, right? Because prices are rising.
And what caused that?
Everybody locked in these low rates, and I feel like they realized how good a rate they had. And real estate is kind of getting still shown and proven to be such a good asset that people are like, well, what, do I really want to sell it? I mean, you know, you and I's thoughts on it. And we
buy and hold.
Hold. I mean, we're hold players for hopefully for life. But I think more people are going, well, why do I really want to sell and pay the government half or whatever the tax rate is, or should I keep it and keep going down playing the game? So I think so many people are going, let me keep this asset. So that's not turning loose inventory.
Why did interest rates? Did we see interest rates so low recently?
Well, you know, you saw 2020 hit,
COVID,
and I think we got way too aggressive. In hindsight, we stayed in the fives or something, just kind of, you know, for people to buy and trade. Then everybody accelerated. When you got that 3%, people refied. People, I mean, golly, I got a rate for 1.875. You think I'm ever going to sell that property?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the point?
In a million years? No, never. 1.875 timed it perfectly. But like, you're not selling when you're in the 2s and 3s to go up to 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
What I think will happen is, this is truly a prediction, it'll stay 7 to 8 probably for the rest of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally they'll start to touch maybe low 6s, upper 5s, and people go, man, 5.85, that's an amazing rate.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll start to see some trades.
Yeah.
But even new construction can't catch up. So when you talk about the current climate, the construction industry is short. There was some huge article about how they're short laborers.
Yeah.
We have unbelievable demand in our area due to the ports and the plants and all what's coming. We can't catch up. We can't catch up.
But it's not like that everywhere, is it? The demand?
I would say it's maybe not like that everywhere, but the demand may not be as strong in other parts, but there's still no inventory in other parts due to these rates of people holding.
Yeah.
So, and we're just not able to catch up on new constructions across the country. You see all these stats that new construction it's just behind. It can't catch population growth right now.
It's wild. Let's kind of like shift it and kind of like lay some foundation. So we keep talking about this interest rate. So maybe there's some listeners out there that don't understand that piece.
Okay.
How would you explain the interest rate to maybe some of those listeners?
Well, yeah, and, you know, some of the stuff you get into, some of the interest rates is like, man, that's like kind of over my head stuff. But the lower the interest rate, the lower your payment. So, you know, you may hear a 3%, then you may hear a 7%. I mean, why is that such a big deal? Well, you know, a $300,000 house at, you know, 3% interest may be, you know, I don't know, $1,500 a month payment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you're going to have to check on that. It's probably not right. But now go buy that same house at 7.5%, and instead of your $1,500 a month payment, you're at $2,400. $900 difference. Same house
per month.
Mm-hmm. Same house, same price. So, I mean, you'd much rather be paying $1,500 than $2,400 a month. That's you know, that's a lot of extra money for groceries and for your day to day.
Yeah.
So your everyday person trying to get ahead and do that financial move for them, they're like, I can't. I don't know if I can even swing that interest rate. And if you have 3%, why are you going to? You know, you're not in a hurry.
So when the interest rates are low, that encourages people to buy.
Correct.
And the higher that it is, it makes it more difficult, because if you do have a low interest rate, you're not willing to trade it up for something that's higher. And
the prices have risen so hard that you may not even get the same house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a tricky field. So the main thing to shorten this up, I usually say right now the incentive's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And people move and are motivated by incentives.
Mm-hmm.
There's no incentive for you to go and trade up right now.
Mm-hmm.
So until something, or you're just gonna have to get used to what it is. But your ultimate goal still should be to own your place. If you, the stat
that's
on,
number one.
The stat on owning property over being a renter is huge. I think the wealth is 10 times an owned person who owns a property is 10 times that of a renter.
That's right.
So it is. Look, it's not easy,
Sure.
but it should be a goal for most people to try to save money and own a house.
How should that process work?
I think the best house hack is, look, Lori and I, when we bought our first property, we bought it, a 3.5% down. That's an FHA loan.
Mm-hmm.
So your easiest way, and then we lived in it for a while, and we still retain that property today as a rental.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a way to go, look, some people want to go buy their first house and it's a $400,000 house. In our market, $400,000 is a very nice house.
Correct.
And some people, that's their goal. I'm not telling the audience that that's a wrong goal, but if you even think that real estate wants to be in your investment portfolio, buy a cheaper house. Buy a 260 at 3.5%. So that's your goal of a smaller amount down. Because if you start buying investment properties right off the rip, it's usually 20% down. But you can buy 3, 4, 5 houses with lower money down than 20 if it is your primary residence.
So you have to live in it.
You got to live in it. Yeah, you can, or it'd be mortgage fraud if you don't. We're not going to get into that today on this conversation.
Let's not play with that.
So we are really wanting you to, yes, you're buying it with whoever, yourself, your significant other. You're putting your 3.5% down. That's probably your low. Some people are actually in our market. There is 100% down, no money down. It just
no money down.
No money down. It's a USDA loan. You have to qualify, and so you got to get in the game somehow, some way. Because when's it's time to plant a tree? What is it they say? 15 years ago or whatever. So you got to put your roots down.
I often hear it's not time in the market. Wait, it's not.
I got you. Don't wait to invest in real estate. Invest in real estate and wait.
There it is.
So it's a waiting game. You don't keep waiting to buy. You go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and wait.
Yeah.
And if your plan is to ultimately, like we talked about, keep it, it doesn't matter if your interest rate's higher right now or you timed it a little high. If you're not selling in 2 years, 4 years, keep that guy. I mean, keep it for 15, keep it for 20. Real estate in life, I wish everybody would think long term. If we all thought long term, you're going to be better at all phases of your life.
That is true.
All phases.
That is true.
Even health, which is something you and I both like, to be healthy. We like to be motivated. It makes us feel better.
Yep.
You work out, you're not feeling like crap after you get done working out in the morning.
What makes me feel like crap is if I don't work out.
Yeah.
It throws my entire day off, right? Like, so every single morning, like clockwork, I will try to make it to the gym. And at least get in an hour, right? Like that's at minimum. But it's a great way to start the day. It actually kind of like gets the blood flowing. Yep. Any sort of stress that I have, it's gone.
It's gone.
It's a very solid way that I've found. How do you do it?
Well, you and I've watched you from, golly, when I first met you. I remember seeing you in the gym hitting the boxing bag. By the way, guys, you don't want to mess with Adam. He will knock you out.
Nah. You always
dude
intro me
hits
like
hard. Dude, yeah. Well, I saw him a long time ago at 180, and we were doing some boxing stuff.
This was before we knew each other.
Yeah, and well, I just knew you as the dude that could hit hard. He was hitting that boxing bag hard. But no, it's I am not as consistent as you. I've admired your consistency. It's hard. That's the hardest thing of staying in the gym, is the routine and the consistency of it. Is your mind going to say, I don't want to do it today?
Yeah.
Because we all say, well, I'm too busy. Everybody's got that thing. Well, I don't go to the gym because I got too much to do.
Yeah.
Well, I got 3 kids. I got this, and this, and I still find a way to get there.
That's right.
So I don't want to hear the excuses. You got to turn your mind and make it a habit. Now, having said that, I am not always the most consistent. I want to be.
Okay.
Lately, I have been in about 3-4 days a week. So mine is drop the kids off at school. Now they're back in school. That routine is created. I drop them off. I go straight to the gym, and I mix it up. I still love pickleball, so that's a little bit of cardio. But I try to just incorporate weights and some different stuff.
Talk to me about pickleball.
Crazy. It's crazy about it. I mean, I don't know, maybe one day in Statesboro, here's a little goal that I'll have some indoor, like, massive.
You want it?
Yeah, I don't even care if it makes money. And I know most people are like, well, everybody does stuff to make money. But I think it would just be so neat for the public and for everybody to have access to something so cool like that. So,
how has that, I mean, apparently pickleball has been around for a long time. But like,
I think 2020 sped it up. People are looking to get outside, and I think, and it may have started before, the train started before then. But that's when I found it. That,
Yep.
Matthew Tyson called me and said, "Man, I'm over here playing at Bob and Kenny's." And
I remember
he goes,
that.
You got to come try this game. And
I
I was like,
remember that.
instantly, I was like, "Oh my God, I
Yeah.
love pickleball." And so,
And
if
you competed, right?
Yeah, I competed. I've won some tournaments.
Let's
That's
go.
been kind of cool. Yes.
Competition.
Yes, and that's competition's at my core. I'm
Yeah.
very motivated to be the best, and you go through different cycles of where you feel like you just always want to be number one and be the best, and it's still you want to do your best. I mean, that is what drives you, and competition is always anything. I want to beat you at anything I play you at.
Why do you think pickleball has made such a boom?
It's a social thing, man. It's like you're getting your exercise in, and you're not sitting around like talking, but it's like you're dapping your teammate up, you're laughing when somebody popped it up, and so, it's pickleball has so many cool shots in it too, or you spin, or it's just they're quick. It's
tennis.
quick. It's quick, man. It's quick games. You can rip 6 games in an hour and a half pretty easy. Some games are 8 minutes, 12 minutes, and they're you're playing to 11, and it's just. You get a great workout in an hour and a half, 2 hours, you're done. You're soaking wet and you got your heart rate up. And, and you saw some friends and you played. So I think it's the combination of quick, fun games with some people that you like. I think it's a sense of community, which you and I talk about health and stuff, and I really want to live a really long life. Like I would love to hit 100, would love it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things you study is community. And the older population loves pickleball.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you see is the sense of community in these blue zones. If you start looking into all those things, and that's a big thing. They're celebrating their elders. America does a terrible job of.
Why do you think that's the case?
I think if you're older, we just feel like America's so on the go. You just get out of my way. I have no use for you, And it's. I've got a guy working with me right now who's in his 60s, and he's awesome, and he just wants to be busy. He came to me and he was like, I want to be doing something. And I think that there's so many people in this 60s, even 70s age group that probably does want to be doing something and stay useful and stay doing stuff. And that's how longevity, you sit around and you quit and you retire. Everybody's got this goal of retiring. You sit around and do nothing. I do not see it as a good thing.
Yeah. I think, keeping the brain active, oftentimes, and I'm not sure why, we have a term in Chinese that we call 孝顺. It's filial piety.
Okay.
But what that means is basically being very kind to your elders, right? Like
yes.
But that term is very prominent within like Asian culture in terms of kind of like being able to talk about attributes that a child has.
Yes.
But filial piety is something that like it's not like you hear often in like American kind of like conversation. It's just kind of like, hey, like after they grow up, they go off and do their own thing.
Right.
And I don't know if that's necessarily like. It's just different, right? I think
it's different, but they're onto something. The cultures that celebrate their elders and really show the love, and sometimes it's still families living in the same household. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just the love and the extra communication I think that you're getting. I mean, if you're sitting up by yourself with nobody to care for you and love on you, like I don't know. I think that hurts.
Yeah.
So everything I keep seeing is exercise. A sense of community, it's that love is there, and of course, diet is the diets it's got to be a huge one, right?
What does Mr. Paul Newman eat? You do any salads?
Love my salads.
Newman salads.
Love my salads.
Is that you?
Newman's own dressing, not mine. Not mine.
Soon to be.
No.
Would you ever do that?
What?
Come out with the sauce line?
No, that's Paul Newman already did that. The real Paul Newman.
I know. You are the real Paul Newman.
Maybe now. No, diet's important to me. I mean, I do got to start my day with coffee. I really kind of got, I would say, intermittent fasting on most days.
Okay.
So
what do you do?
Coffee in the morning. So the last meal's at 6, right?
Okay.
Nice family dinner. We don't cook a bunch of sides. Like we usually just have like maybe a meat and just something small. Like it's not a 3-course with a bread and all that kind of stuff. Like portions are a big deal for us.
Sure.
I love my family dinners. We, no phones, no anything,
love that.
where it's, so we really sit down and have just great family dinners. Probably my most cherished part of my day. But 6 o'clock dinner, I'm pretty disciplined. I really don't snack at night. There's no little late night snack. I don't really drink a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is less and less in my life. I'm a social drinker. If I see you, we'll have a beer. But so really after 6, there's no alcohol. There's no extra snacks. And then I'll go through and drink coffee and maybe do a banana in the morning. But sometimes it's just coffee and I get to lunch with no snacks.
What time is lunch?
Usually 12. I'm like 12 and 6. Like I get
12 to 6, and then that's
it.
That's
so
the
that's
window.
the fast is 12 to 6. And so usually a salad. I really try to not. I'm not a big sandwich guy. I think the bread is the enemy right now.
Yeah.
So it's salads and whatever at dinner. I'm not super picky at dinner, but it's usually not a sandwich type setup.
Yeah, I think it also offers like a lot of mental clarity. I mean, there's obviously a bit of a challenge to get it to that point, right? Of like fighting like the hunger pains and like that sort of thing. But if you're able to get it through, like actually like you come out on the other side like even clearer in the mind.
I think it's probably fighting, like you said, like he's like, oh, I want that snack. You got to get used to discipline. Yeah. And that's, not going into the gas station and buying the snacks and the crap, I mean, that's it's also you get, saving comes into that too. And I was so cheap back in the day. It was like waters, every meal. I would never get a Coke, It was just like, I was going to get the water. Of course, you're in the restaurant business. You love when people order a drink, right?
But I mean, I get it, right?
Yeah.
But I think what's fascinating about this story is like, you had this, and you mentioned this earlier, this delayed gratification. Like you were playing for the long game. So
Always.
you weren't like looking for like the Coca-Cola satisfaction right now.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean.
Yeah.
We're in Coca-Cola country right
Yes.
now, so didn't mean to come on.
Coke
like
is still good.
But you were putting off that delayed satisfaction for the fact that you could kind of like build up some sort of like money in order to go and do other things with, right? That was more important. And oftentimes I think, being able to kind of like save a little bit here and there in the long run is going to give you so much access to so much more as opposed to wanting the thing right now.
Yeah, well, it's just like, in our culture, American culture, we want everything, right? We want the biggest house if we can afford it. We want the nicest vehicles if we can afford it. Like that's a bit, right? And for the longest time, oh my God, I had a Camry forever. My grandmother gave me her like a Accord, like, she literally gave it to me as a gift. It was like, and I drove it. Like, I was like, it was an old 92 Accord. Like, that was my grandma's car, but like, vehicles were never that important to me now. I mean, I have a new nice truck now, but that's not the end all be all for me. Like, I'm a memory guy. Like, I'd like to go make memories. I love to travel and eat good, but it's not the things for me. It is the experiences and spending time with family.
Love that.
Yeah.
Let's shift direction. I know that you're a huge sports fan.
Love it.
And you love kind of like going to games.
Yep.
We've actually been to a Heat game.
Fun. Yeah, Miami Heat.
Yeah,
we did go.
I remember
that.
That was
Wade's
awesome.
last season, I think.
That's right.
D-Wade.
That's right. So talk to me about your passion for that. Like, how did that start?
I think
what are your teams?
Playing sports, and I think in American culture, a father and son or father and daughter, Golly Stella loves sports. Like watching sports together, going to different events. Some of my most cherished memories, I have a memory of my dad and my brother and I all going to a Miami Hurricanes game where it was like against Florida State, which is a big rivalry. They missed the field goal and everybody just goes nuts and we're like right there in the front row. Like those are ingrained, cherished memories, and sports is something that when the game ends for us, I'll call my dad, I'll call my brother, man, we sucked, or, whatever. You talk and it just gives you chances to catch up and talk sports. We love sports. We're huge, and I'm big for children on sports. I think it keeps them in shape. You're learning about winning, losing, teamwork, competition, stuff that goes right to business. Give me an athlete all day in business because they cared for their bodies, they trained, they had to show up, they disciplined. Things you look for in employees and good workers are there in athletes all day.
There's a statistic out there talking about NCAA athletes, like people that make it to that level, which is kind of like college, whatever type of sport that you're in.
Right.
There's a statistic out there saying that they are honestly, after they get done with like the sport, they actually go on to achieve more, even if it's not in like the professional sport side.
Yes.
But they obviously have like the tools and the mechanism that gives them the discipline to to, go out there and crush it in whatever field that they want to.
It's the drive. It's the drive of the athlete. Yeah, it is. And it's just obviously there's great people that are not athletes, but it's just like, I know. I mean, if you've been an athlete, especially got all the way to college, you had some drive to get there. There's no doubt in my mind. So I think, all the athletes at Georgia Southern, they get ready to graduate. Golly, if any of them are interested, give me a shout. Yeah, scoop them up. So that's one of our passions is we like to give back and talk and help. I heard a stat the other day. You should hang out with 33% people above you, like whether it be intelligence or wealth or whatever. 33% people your same level, kind of same drive, same of this, and 33% people below you to lift them up.
I love that.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when you see people kind of like quote unquote make it, they don't really spend the time to give back, right? Like and kind of lend a helping hand.
I'm good. I got my own thing.
Yeah, but I think that's such an important piece of like, hey, and I still have like a long way to go. There's still plenty of things in my life that I want to try to achieve, but there's never a moment in time where I'm not willing to say, hey, look, like I've been in that same position before. I will be the person that I wish I had like for myself, right?
Yep.
And not to say that I didn't have mentors, but like the whole point of this is like being open and like available to people just to help like the community grow.
If you can't give, and I think that's one of your great strengths is that you are a giver. You genuinely care and want to help. I mean, I've seen it. And even the other day when we talked and you mentioned something and I said, my buddy just started this business. It's a hat business.
Yep.
Shout out Matt Hat Company. Shout out. And you just got on. You were easy, ready to help him.
No problem at all.
Hey, do you mind calling him and talking to him? I mean, that's just, you didn't have to do that, but it's like we are called to help each other.
That's right.
That's a big thing.
What do you think about Georgia Southern football? So I know you sometimes get like a little bit of the inside scoop on what's happening. How are you looking?
It's a train that can't be stopped right now. We're ready.
You think so?
This is going to be a big step up year. I really do. This will be a big game. Heading into week 2, but we got a lot of strength going on, man. This indoor practice facility, have you been in there to see it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
It's phenomenal. It's everybody that gets to see it's going to be a treat. We actually got a tailgate suite there.
Yep, you did.
So I got one. It's super shaded, and if you know me, I'm all about the weather. Weather like makes everything. I don't want to be sitting there baking like a toasted cheeser, So that's big time for the players to practice in. They're not sitting there in a 100-degree day getting. There's days that they've got to practice in that to prepare for the season.
Yeah.
But there's so many days, rainy days, and just like if it's too hot, like let's tuck you inside and still have a great practice. Players have said it's felt like 20 degrees cooler on some days. Like
they said that like I've spoken to also some of the football players, and they're saying that in terms of weight loss, they actually are able to maintain their weight because they are
the heat's not taking everything away.
Exactly, which is huge.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of people giving, man. It's like, and in order to make this stuff go, college athletics, it doesn't, especially at the level Georgia Southern is, we don't have a ton of givers. We need people to step up and give and donate, and there's different ways you can give to the university and give to stuff like the facilities, which get better players. Which, when football is great, the town grows. Georgia State, make no mistake. Georgia Southern doesn't win all these national championships back in the day.
Yeah.
And Statesboro, the college, doesn't grow because of football. This could be a very small town. It still is a great small town, but it's growing.
Sure.
Large part due to sports.
Sure.
So I think Georgia Southern's going to continue to do good. There's NIL supporting the players, like these athletes. That's a big, huge thing we talked about for a long time.
That's right.
That money goes straight to the players. You give to NIL, like they're distributed to keeping and retaining some of the best players. That's what, you think of it in different ways. Sometimes you have to go pay. This is a crazy world, this NIL stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to pay these players to maybe get them to come. And also, if you got an amazing player, sometimes you got to pay to get them to stay now. And it's tough. It's tough for us to compete with some of the bigger SEC schools that have unlimited resources. But we need people giving and supporting the program because it's great for the town, great for our football program, and just elevating our region as a whole.
And one of your friends actually recently kind of created something for this, right? The NIL Collective.
Right? Yeah. Leonard Bevel kind of heads that up, and it's been fantastic. They had a great fundraiser a couple weeks ago, and so the NIL stuff is a really neat, and it's a way for businesses to maybe collaborate with players and use them and give to them in their journey and in the sports world.
I had a question, and this is more on the business side.
Yeah.
At the indoor practice facility, I think they set up something for tailgate packages where like restaurants can come and deliver food, if you will. Did you utilize the system, or did you?
I did. We bought a grill, and we were able to keep the grill there, so we grilled ourselves. So a couple guys that I'm with, they love to grill, so we probably will not use that service, but that is a pretty neat thing too.
Did you see a lot of people using the service?
I didn't walk around and kind of didn't pay attention that much. So, and it's brand new, so it may get kicked off more. And I think it's a neat concept for sure.
Yeah. They reached out to us because we obviously have kind of like that connection to them with the Saucy Shrimp Truck.
Yep.
So, if you're at any of the football games, make sure you stop by the Saucy Shrimp Truck. It's right next on the student side.
Yep.
And it's been popping. I mean, this is our second year doing it, but this year it felt different. We just have more interest in it.
Was your game one good? Did it
sell?
Solid. Great sales.
I think we broke all records.
And I think it's going to, I think last week's attendance was 18,000.
Oh, it wasn't even that packed.
16 or 18. And it wasn't even all the way sold out. I anticipate this week being better. And if we can keep the train going, then you'll see the steam keep going.
Love it.
So it should be a really good year for the Eagles.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What other things are you working on currently?
I think just the development stuff's where, because there's not a lot for sale, we're still sitting under 100 houses. There's hardly any resales. I'm at the lowest listing point my whole entire real estate career. I'm at like 2 and 3 listings. So that's like
what you doing, Paul?
I don't know. I'm
you
just
losing it? You losing your touch?
No, I don't know what's going on. Call Paul. No, it's just the people are holding, and so I'm in development to try to create inventory. I mean, if we don't get some new construction going, the real estate agents, we're not going to have hardly anything to sell.
Yeah.
So that's about all we can sell right now is new construction, because all the resales are just locked up. They're not reselling.
Got you.
But no, so we're doing that. We're working on the vacation rental stuff. We're doing the rental. I'm just staying busy with family. All my kids are doing sports, and so right now I'm able to spend quality time, which is, at the end of your days, you don't want to just say you worked and didn't spend time with your family. So that's just such a big, important piece to me, is just being super present with my kids.
Yeah.
Paul,
it's a pleasure having you back onto the show.
Yes, it was awesome.
Every single time I talk to you, every single time we catch up, it's always just like we pick up right where we left off, and just inspired by kind of like the things that you're doing right now.
Yeah.
I think that you lead a life that's very balanced, where like you have kind of like the family aspect as well as the business aspect.
That's right.
And how those two things play together. I think that it's a great thing. How do people keep in contact with you if people wanted to reach out and kind of like pick your brain?
My cell phone's an open book. Instagram, Facebook. I've kind of touched a little bit of TikTok, which I know I probably need to do more of those.
I see some more content coming out.
We've been putting out a little bit more, trying to get the overrated, underrated stuff pop back up, and just be present. Social media, as you know, in business is everything. You got to kind of put yourself out there. But
sure.
No, I appreciate you having me on. I've enjoyed it today. It's always fun catching up with you, and big shout out to you too, just because you're the hustler I like to be. I like to be around movers and shakers.
Love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and catch up with Paul. Definitely call Paul. That's the tagline.
Always. There's something. Hold on, I got.
You got a new one?
No, it's everybody's on the sidelines right now, right? So I did my little football video.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes,
I saw that.
So. GATA, get after those assets.
Oh, let them know.
Get after those assets. So that's a Georgia Southern thing. But no, enjoyed it, man. Have a great day. Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Yeah.